Coach, a lot to talk about with your team, but I'm curious first. You're a hard worker. You like to work. Did you get a chance to enjoy everything that you accomplished last year during the summer?
Well, I mean, we try to enjoy what we can, but I don't know if I would say that there was any time to really kind of sit back and relax and reflect. I think eventually there'll be plenty of that time, but there were some moments. I think that the Senior Bowl was a moment that I always talk about, of just seeing the 6 or 7 guys that were there that day when we went down there, and then obviously the draft. I think those were moments that you kind of just reflect back on, what those guys have meant to your program and what those guys have done for us as a whole.
Let's get to Chuck Sullivan now. I'll facilitate the next question for you, Coach.
Okay, we'll take the first question from the media from Justin Williams from The Athletic, please.
Hey, Coach. I know you always pay really close attention to media polls, so I'm curious your thoughts on Cincinnati being picked to finish second this season.
I think Zach just let me know that about maybe 15 minutes ago as I come rolling down here. And again, I don't put a whole lot of stock in it. I think more than anything, we have an objective and we have one goal and a bunch of objectives every year, and they aren't going to change based on what the polls come out to be, so to speak. But again, we'll use it in just a regard that kind of like to play from that position a little bit more. But I don't think it's something that we're going to talk about disrespect or anything like that. It's just a reality, and I think our guys are far enough along, and we've got enough, of the leaders and the older guys that understand the realities behind whatever those things mean, and can be, obviously can be motivating and for some, and for me for sure.
We'll go next to Keith Jenkins, Cincinnati Enquirer, please.
Hey, Luke. Obviously, the quarterback battle will be a big storyline over this fall camp. In addition to wanting to see those guys play well, what else will you be evaluating as you're trying to figure out who will be QB1 on September 3rd?
Well, I mean, there's everything to be evaluated. That's the beauty of fall camp. Obviously, the one that comes to mind is the quarterback, and we haven't had a true quarterback battle in quite a while here. We've been very fortunate to have the Desmond Ridder of the world that pretty much started for 4 years. So it's been, kind of different going into fall camp where you had to focus on a lot of different things. So we'll go in. Obviously, there is definitely a quarterback battle. It will be as much of a battle as we can possibly be. You can't go live and you can't put quarterbacks live. It's just not something you do now. But knowing that we've got 5 returning starters up front on the offensive line and a defensive line that's going to, kind of be the anchors to what it is that we do, will give us an opportunity to really kind of challenge the rest, challenge the quarterbacks, challenge the back end of our defense, because there's a lot of new guys. So, it's not that it's going to be different, but I think we can try to, kind of script and put those guys into some positions where hopefully we can do a better job at truly evaluating them and what they can do for the entire team.
Next one will come from Chad Brindell, Bearcat Journal, please.
Coach, I know you won't agree with me on this, but a year ago, camp was you knew who was kind of going to be in the spots, obviously with 9 guys drafted. Going into this year, is there maybe a renewed excitement that, you get to have some camp battles and get to see, how things play out on the 2 deep?
No, I definitely think going into camp, it's definitely different. Not that you're not battling every year, and there's competitions and all different things, but this is a year where there's definitely a little bit more of an edge. There's definitely some unique battles, and then it's not just at the quarterback position, but there's also some positions that maybe guys have been kind of thrust into through spring, but you really want to see what the maturity and what they've done over that time from spring, the end of spring into summer and into this fall camp. So I think that you get I'm not going to say there's a greater energy. There was an energy last year. There's been an energy every year. But I think when you have guys in positions, your camp is different, knowing that those guys haven't maybe played as many snaps. And you're going to walk into Fayetteville, Arkansas on September 3rd and need to be playing at your best. So there's a definite different feel and will be a different feel, I think, our entire camp.
We'll go next to Mark Berman from Fox 26 in Houston, please.
Hey, Luke, how you doing?
How we doing?
How do you? I know they touched on the preseason poll and given that, and I know you don't put a whole lot of stock in it. But how do you view what Dana's done at Houston and how you view them in this race in the AAC coming up this year?
They've done a phenomenal job, and I would pick them too. I mean, there's nobody that's got a better quarterback coming back and a dynamic wide out, and over the time, obviously he's proven that, and we've had some battles. I think we obviously only played in the championship game, and don't play in the regular season. So for us, we only have one goal, and it's to play for a championship. And the only way we would have an opportunity to get another shot at those guys is to be able to be into that position and in that game. So he has done a really, really good job. I've watched. Obviously, I've not know him personally, but have watched obviously what he's done wherever he's been, West Virginia, and then obviously moving to Houston. And everybody does and builds their programs different ways, and I think we're probably a little more similar in the ways that which we've tried to and have built our programs. And you see that through the guys that have been there for a while, and very similar in recruiting the areas, and we're both in really good areas, obviously, to be able to recruit. So. He's done a great job, and we can only hope and wish that we have another opportunity to play.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on Clayton Tune and what you think of him as a quarterback?
Obviously, we played him. I thought he played a really, really good game. I'm sure that some people would critique and maybe not say that, or maybe threw an interception there at the start of the second half. But he is much more physical than I think people maybe give him credit for. I know he's done a lot of great things in the offseason, won some of the Manning Camp Awards and things like that. But I think that those guys that have obviously been in the system have grown up and kind of taken maybe even some lumps through their times, I think are always the ones that are better in the long run. And I would say he's obviously at the head of the class in our league and maybe even in the country.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Jason Stamp from Bearcat Report, please.
Hey, Coach, you guys played Notre Dame Game 4 last year, having the opportunity to play Arkansas Game 1 right out of the gate. Justin's question was about being picked in the media poll and maybe with the media perception. What kind of opportunity do you think that presents playing that top non-conference team right out of the gate instead of a couple games in the season?
Well, the opportunity is the opportunity, whether it's in Game 1 or Game 4 like it was last year. Obviously, as a coach, you're going to say all of them are important. But I think what it does is it's just unique for, how you prepare and what you're trying to do, I think, through your entire camp, your camp time. And it's a little bit different, a little bit unique. Not that every first game you don't have to be prepared for and things like that. But I think that in our schedule in particular, the first 4 are really unique. And coming out of the gate, obviously in Fayetteville, and then week 2 with having to face the triple option. There's a lot of different things that will make our camp, not just with having a lot of new guys and a lot of battles through our camp, but it will make our camp different than it has been maybe in the last few years. And different is not bad. Different changes things up, and difference can be really good. And I think we've got a plan, and it'll just be a little bit different than it was last year.
Next question will come from Dan Tortora, please. Wake Up Call DT.
Coach, 2 different type of questions here, but I'd love to get your thoughts on both. I mean, you've been within the American Athletic Conference the entire time you've been at Cincinnati. Just what your thoughts are on the conference and what Cincinnati has done within this conference. And then secondly, what Desmond Ridder brings to the NFL, because I don't think he got the respect that he deserved going into the draft. Well, I mean, it has been a phenomenal conference. I don't think that it gets nearly the credit that it should. I think as the game changes and evolves and whatever is going to happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years with college football and all these things, that we're going to recognize the competition, the teams that have played in the American. And I mean, I haven't known a whole lot else. Obviously, I coached in the Big Ten for a long time. But have not been in the other leagues. But I really do believe that well-rounded all around, it has been a phenomenal league. So it is what it is. But I don't think that the whole entire college football is stopping here. So it'll be unique to see how this thing continues to kind of fold out the next 3, 4, 5 years. And Desmond Ridder in general, I don't think people want to say, well, maybe because he was an American, he didn't get the credit.
I mean, you get what you earn. And obviously, whatever you want to say about Desmond Ridder, he was obviously phenomenal, quarterback, phenomenal for us. I think the beautiful thing is he's going to become an even better NFL quarterback. And it's not just, because of the game he played or how many years he played. It's because he's a constant competitor. He's always striving to get better. And I think that his future is really bright. I think that he's in a great position right now. And when a guy's put in a position where he can compete, I think it just makes him that much better. So I don't think there's anything that held him back other than his ability to continue to develop. And I think that's what makes him who he is.
Thanks, Coach. I always appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, time for about two more. We'll go to Trace Trilko, please, for the next one.
Coach, what do you think of the program Gus Malzahn is building at UCF?
Obviously, I think that it's always, ever since I've been in the league, they've been the class of the league. And I don't just mean that of, whether they win or not. I just mean that the talent-wise and what they've had. I think it's always unique when you step in there and take over for a program that's been really, really good. I think it's harder. I stepped in at a time when the program here was down, and I think sometimes that's not as hard because everybody wants a little bit of a change. So for what Coach has done there, from walking into a program that was really, from the outside winning and things like that, really doing a really good job. I think that where he's continued to make it grow has been, for me, great to watch because. Like I said, sometimes I think it's easier going the other direction. But to know exactly what's going on within the program and how much they've grown, and it's hard for me to tell. I just know what I see on the film. And they are obviously going to have talent. They're going to be a program that's continued to grow. And they're going to be, obviously a competitor and a challenge for us, not just this year, but obviously moving forward as we continue to probably go down the same path. And, I think he's done a phenomenal job.
We'll take the final one for Coach from Justin Williams from The Athletic, please.
Coach, you talked about, losing a lot of in-game experience, but you're not necessarily a young roster. A lot of guys have had experience in the system. Do you notice that in terms of some of these position battles? And is there anything that you can do to maybe help prepare for that in-game experience, or can you only get that being on the field on game day?
No, I think the unique thing is, with exception to a couple positions, I think we've got a lot more maturity than people would know. I think our leadership is more mature than maybe it even has been with Desmond and Kobe, because our guys have come from different places and earned things in a different way. I think the uniqueness that a lot of these guys have played, we aren't a team that just played, 11 guys on defense and 11 guys on offense. I think that there's been a multiple, guys playing. Now, it doesn't happen at the quarterback position that everybody wants to talk about. And for us, it probably didn't happen as much at the corner position just because of the two guys that we had. All of which those spots are going to be completely in challenged all through camp. I think for us, I think at the running back position, to me, is more the one that, we got a little bit more of not sure exactly, in-game tight situations at these guys in live situations. Those are the ones that, to me, are the ones that are a little bit more like, okay, we got to find a way through this camp to figure that out, because you don't go live, you don't tackle nearly as much. And at those positions, tailback in particular, that's what you really need to see. So the corners are going to get challenged, all through camp. We got some great wide receivers. It's going to be battles. They can get some incredible experience, even though it might not be as much game experience. The quarterback is going to be challenged in many different ways. I know they don't go live, but there's so many ways to be able to challenge them. It's the running backs and it's the young guys on defense and tackling, because those are just things you don't do nearly as much of.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Hope you guys have a good and healthy fall camp ahead of you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.